What is up, good people? Jungle Link here, hope you're doing well. We're going to talk a little bit about the ongoing spam attack on the XRP Ledger and some of the questions that arise in terms of its performance and its capability to handle these transactions. Remember, we've seen in many advertisements, Ripple tout the XRP Ledger can handle 1,500 transactions per second, even as high as 3,000 and change. Is it able to do that under the current load, yes or no? We'll look at that. Before we get into that, looking at the broader crypto market, currently Bitcoin about 43,000. We're kind of waffling about in this zone. Ethereum up about 5% on the day, 2,300 at time of recording. XRP 64 cents. So in terms of the Holy Trinity, we're kind of flattish, but there are some movers in the market. We'll have to see how the next few weeks progress. Does this continue or not? Now, one thing I look at, the last bull run for XRP was very complicated. Because just in general, everything that goes on in crypto, there's so many moving parts, it's not easy. And when you tacked on that court case, it made things immensely more difficult. Because had there been a settlement, man, you got to know what the price would have done during a bull run. It would have been nuts. And looking at prior cases, how the SEC had approached those, and just in general, you know, Ripple is a company protecting their forward interests, and the SEC, they're staring at a big L in a lot of ways in this case. It made sense for them to settle out. And there were two people that kind of told us what was going to happen, didn't they? Brad Garlinghouse said, we ain't going to settle unless XRP is deemed not a security. Now, we know that's not going to happen. The SEC would never do that. That was the whole point of this court case. I didn't believe Brad. I said he was full of it. Figured he was just, like most things in life, trying to project strength and get a better settlement. And on the SEC side, you had Gary Gensler, who told us, we're prepared to take L's. We're going to go to court. We're going to lose stuff, and we're okay with that. And I said BS. There's no way this guy is going to take a big L and really threaten everything else he wants to do in crypto. Well, it turned out both were straight shooters here and very serious about what they were saying. Luck would have it, we don't got to worry about that this time around. But, you know, that was an oddity. Usually when people are saying one thing, they mean something different. They're trying to project, strength or, whatever it may be. And in this case, both were totally transparent and honest. The SEC was willing to lose, and lose they did. And Ripple was willing to put it all on the line. And that's exactly the way this played out. Really a wild time in history. Now, the last thing I'll say about the broader crypto market here, so many people are down on XRP, but when XRP was ripping up from 30-something cents to start the year, up to 70, 80 cents, however big it went, people were very happy. And they said things like Algorand and Polkadot and, Near and Solana. These cryptos were over, they're done, they're dead, they're a piece of junk. Usually the best buys come when everyone's down on a particular asset. Now, sometimes an asset's just bad, so you have to assess that for yourself. But there's going to be times when Bitcoin's dominating, XRP, Ethereum, smart contracts, gaming, DeFi, it jumps around. Just relax. If you believe in the underlying value, if you think you have a premium crypto, it's going to last, it will work out. And I truly believe that with XRP. Now, Cointelegraph, they had a great article here just kind of talking about the big events of 2023. So I wanted to reflect on that a little bit, what we saw transpire during this year. And to me, the number one most important, I know most people say Bitcoin ETF, and of course that's been the biggest driver of value as we believe. BlackRock, Fidelity, they're going to finally get this across the finish line. But to me, the number one story was CZ stepping down from Binance and doing a deal, because that could have been a catastrophe. That could have been a multi-year nasty battle that caused all sorts of problems, and it ended very peacefully, business-like, and that was probably your biggest danger, and it ended up being a nothing. So I thought that was a big one of note. Now, number two, BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF application. It let us know, yeah, this ain't the past. This ain't the Winklevoss twins. It's happening. This is the real deal. We are going to see crypto ETFs. It will be fully integrated within traditional finance and all your regular brokerages, and you're going to see endowment funds and pension funds and all sorts of people get exposure to crypto assets. And then they followed up with their Ethereum ETF. Just in case you thought it was only Bitcoin, it will be the broader crypto market as we move forward. And it's not going to end with Ethereum either. The fourth big event of this year was the SEC surrendering to the Ripple case against Brad and Chris, so the individuals. they're just not going to pursue that. They just totally threw in their hand. They're done with it. And of course, the ruling, that's probably even bigger. The one that deemed XRP is not a security. And if we extrapolate that across digital assets, it would mean most cryptocurrencies are not security tokens, as Gary Gensler tries to state time and time again. Good thing we have a legal system that says he is wrong. That verdict by Judge Torres is one of the most important in crypto history, and it just showed you how powerful it was when they just threw in their hands against the executives and said, we're not going any farther. Hopefully they do the same and settle out the broader case. We'll have to see. Sam Bankman-Fried getting convicted and sentenced up to 110 years in prison. I don't know how much he'll actually, do at the end of the day, but that was good putting closure on that situation. And there might be a second half of this trial, we'll have to see. But the big part of it's over. We can put FTX behind us, hopefully learn from that situation. But again, just showing if you think you're going to commit crimes, don't think you're just going to, do it on blockchain and you're not going to get real consequences. And the dumb thing there is, exchanges are cash cows. There was no need for this, and the guy created his own little nightmare there. It's unfortunate, but he did a lot of harm, and not just to FTX investors, to the broader crypto market. I guarantee you there are good projects, good companies that went out of business, partially because of the turmoil he caused. Next on the list, Coinbase, actually confronting the SEC, and that's been a pleasant surprise. I've said before, traditionally they are cavers. They cave on every issue. They're an SEC lackey, but not this time. They're really pushing back hard, taking from the Ripple playbook, and hopefully they continue here. Unless they get an acceptable settlement that they can live with and the whole crypto space can move forward with, they should continue doing what they're doing because the Ripple case showed us we're on the right side of the law. These are not security assets, specifically the secondary market, which Coinbase operates in. Do Kwon finally being caught again, another one of those things. Just good to put it behind us. I don't dislike him quite as much as SBF. I think he really was trying to do a stable coin. But anytime that's backed by a Ponzi scheme, it's not going to end well. Cause a lot of damage, a lot of disruption. He's going to get in trouble, and deservedly so, even though I don't think he's quite as bad as SBF. The Kraken agreeing to unregistered staking. You remember the whole thing with Gary Gensler, stake versus stake. Which one are we doing here? Thought he was so funny. Kraken thought they would put this SEC stuff behind them, settled out, paid a big fine, and then got sued on the flip side again, just showing you really can't trust when you're dealing with the SEC. You better have everything in writing, it better be clear, and it better be complete, because they'll just circle back around and ding you again down the line, even though you just paid them $30 million. There was a ton more in 2023. It was a really busy year. I think 2024 is going to be even busier, which is good news for us when we're in cryptocurrencies. Now let's talk about this whole XRP Ledger spam attack. The title of this article is XRP Ledger Struggles at 50 TPS with the emergence of inscriptions causing network issues. So what we have this project that kicked off, resulting in market participants creating masses of XRP20 inscriptions on the XRP Ledger. They did this by attempting to inscribe arbitrary data on XRP drops, the lowest value of XRP. Anyway, it created a lot of transactions, ton of transactions, unnecessary transactions, pretty much worthless transactions, if we're being honest here. We have inscriptions on other blockchains. I don't want to delve into it. You can listen to the devs. It's not a UTXO. There's no way to, get a specific drop, yada, 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 whatever. It's just a lot of nonsense going on right now, but that's a public blockchain, right? People can use it for whatever they want, and right now it's being used for these inscriptions, which creates a lot of, volume. And when we look at the stats, XRP scan revealed daily transactions on the network spiked to 4.11 million transactions per day. Typically, we average about 1.2. In addition, we have about 10x the daily account activations. In the past, it's about 2,200 accounts a day, and we're seeing about 20,000 a day being activated on the XRP Ledger. Now, Weezy Win had a unique perspective. He said, this is a free stress test on the Ledger. People are going to pay for all these transactions. Great. We get to kind of put the Ledger through the paces and see what it's really capable of doing. Again, we've seen it promoted. XRP Ledger could do 1,500 or 3,000 TPS. This is pushing us up to about 50, and some problems are emerging here. Now, wins confirm that the network is struggling at just 50 TPS, with validators having to take turns in validating transactions. So they're not in sync doing it together. One will, validate a block and then another one will catch up on the next block. Not the way it's supposed to be functioning. Now, Adam, a full stack developer and CEO of NFT marketplace XRP Cafe, dismissed these claims and said, well, it's not a problem. It's not struggling. Notably, there were no reports of failed transactions or major issues. Yes, fees rose up a little bit, but he wouldn't deem that a failure. So take it as you will. It's not functioning as quick and snappy as it would under normal stress. That's for sure. And the question is, how far more can we push this up before we do start having failed transactions and things like that? Now, the haters will sit back and go, we knew it. XRP Ledger can't handle high TPS. This is what I would tell you the bigger thing is. Usually about 8 to 10 TPS is enough for normal transactions. What I would focus on is actually building demand for lots of transactions. Of course, you have to plan ahead, and they are. There's scaling solutions coming out here soon, a lot of upgrades, things like that. You can't just wait till you need it. But really what's paramount is away from these spam transactions, we need more real transactions. That's really number one. More important than anything else. You don't need to worry about scaling so much until you need something to scale for. So that building is even more important. Now, in Ripple's advertisement saying the XRP Ledger can do 1,500 and then 3,400 or whatever it was TPS, they're not lying. They've done this in the lab. They've done this in tests, just not on the live network. And I think the deal is this, are you going to spend all this money to upgrade the XRP Ledger and do all of this work just to say we can do 1,500 TPS if you only need 8 or 10? I think that's really what we're looking at here. Can it do that today? No. Can we do it in the future? If we need it, if we're able to build that demand, yeah, they're going to get it done. They will upgrade this ledger as needed. But you don't want to get in front of yourself here and, just to have this vanity metric, we can do all these transactions, when again, 8 to 10, maybe 12 usually gets you by. Now, this also brings up two other issues. Number one is AMMs. You start adding that capability, it's going to add a lot of transactions to the network. These spam transactions that have no value, those will stop. But if you have a useful feature, like using the DEX and AMMs, well, that demand is just going to continue to grow and build, and you may end up in this type of situation. So you got to be ready to upgrade that network and get higher TPSs, because you're going to get more transactions. It's going to happen. The more useful features and reasons people go to your blockchain to execute various transactions, this is just a natural occurrence. That's why a lot of times people laugh at Ethereum and say, well, it's so slow and expensive. Well, yeah, because the whole world's trying to do a bunch of transactions on that blockchain. They're not just sending a payment. They're not just hodling their coins. They're using the sucker. And so the more things like this, as you build out that capability, it can have unintended consequences. You got to be ready for that. You got to think. And I think they are. We see the validators really looking through all the data, thinking about this deeply with their knowledge for running the infrastructure. And that's why this type of thing takes some time. Furthermore, we see this debate about smart contracts or even hooks, where, if you add that to the mainnet, are we going to run into this type of problem? And probably so. This is why we want to keep the XRP Ledger lean and mean, so you can send and settle payments quickly, efficiently, and cheaply. If you give that up, well, you're going to get run out of the game. You're not going to compete with some of these smart contract blockchains. Don't try to follow what they're doing. Stay in your lane, do what you do well, and it's sending and settling value quickly and cheaply, any value in the world. And I think adding AMMs kind of complements that, so that's worth having to deal with those extra transactions. But outside of that, you're probably going to want to throw it on a sidechain for this reason. All right, the last story I want to talk about is Grayscale. I had to refile their Bitcoin ETF application. Everyone's been informed to do so before December 29th, or you're not going to be considered. But the interesting thing is crypto asset manager Barry Silbert stepped down the very same day they did that. I saw some people saying, well, Barry knows this isn't going to go through, and therefore he's trying to save face. I don't think it has anything to do with that. Remember, the bigger parent company, the Digital Currency Group, they got a lot of problems, issues with the SEC. So I think removing himself from that entity, taking himself off the board of Grayscale, gives it a better chance of going through. I could be wrong, of course, but I think, if you have your own baggage, if you have ongoing issues with the SEC, makes sense. You want to step away from something you're trying to get approved, and you don't want to give them a reason to deny specifically, your application there. Always warn people, sure looks like it's going to happen. Sure looks like this is our moment for crypto ETFs, but we are relying on the SEC to make the honorable, correct, and logical decision here. There's always some risk there. Let me know what you think down below. And as always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.